So next 15 minutes, what I want to primarily say, I will go over details, but I will not go into the very granularity of it. So happy to take questions or connect later on. My email ID is here. So, but what I want to say in next 15 minutes is that how scientific entrepreneurship and more so life science entrepreneurship has been actually making a kind of a new surge in terms of how innovations can be built in India and for India and beyond. And I would have last 2 or 3 slides, which would possibly indicate how this has come nearly a useful component to it during these difficult times and what we have done, although at a smaller scale, but still something has happened from the innovations that are coming out of India. So just to give you a very quick perspective, I think scientific knowledge has its maximum impact, as we all know, when it solves a societal problem. It may be immediate, it may be long term, but still, I think it allows people to use that knowledge and go forward. And then we have several examples of it. And that's why science entrepreneurship, which becomes much more impactful than many other entrepreneurships, has a different role to play in the field of innovation per se, if I may just say so. I'll not go into details of that. CCAMP is based out of Bangalore, which is at the Bangalore Life Science Cluster. We have 3 organizations on cluster. In addition to CCAMP, there is NCBS, which is a center of Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TFR, the top-notch Biological Science Research Institute in India, INSTEM, which is the only federally funded stem cell research institute, and CCAM, which was set up in 2009-10 as a catalyst for enabling high-end research and innovation. This is the campus space. We have largely 2 verticals. One is technology platforms, the other is entrepreneurship program. In terms of what we want to do is that we want to leverage the scientific knowledge to take the science and the innovation to the next scale as a catalyst of in that sector. The technology platforms we have, these are the tools that allows science to go forward. These are the technologies which actually allow scientific research to go forward, and this allows a scientific environment and collaborations for CCAM. And this is possibly one of its only kind in terms of place where you have so many capabilities under one roof at that level of expertise, from flow cytometry to screening, microscopy, genomics, mass spec, structural biology, transgenic animals capability, microfabrication, microfluidics. These are all very, very important scientific work in academia and industry. And this, we have expertise to engage with this research capabilities and collaborate with them. Such collaborations have resulted us more than 2,000 projects, more than 200 organizations have collaborated with us, and this is our pan-India footprint in terms of collaborations we have done through these technology platforms. I'll not spend more time on it. What we wanted to do is more talk about the entrepreneurship, as the host just mentioned. Broadly, you can talk about different mechanisms of ability to support entrepreneurship. But for us, entrepreneurship is a vehicle to take science to impact. And that's a very, very important thing. We truly and strongly believe that entrepreneurship is a phenomenal vehicle to actually put scientific knowledge on and then take it to the next level of impact. And this is where we come into play in hand-holding them through different verticals like funding, incubation, mentorship, acceleration. These are activities, but we believe that these are actually the hand-holding discussions we do from science to. So our main aspect is origin and destination. There is science and impact, and in between is the entrepreneurship as a very important vehicle to do that. For last 8 years since we have begun this activity, we have nearly 200 of our own funded organization where we have funded deep science ideas at the early sketch level ideas, and we have mentored them, and through many programs that we have, which I'll not talk about today, we are in touch with possibly 1,500 odd life science startups and supporting them in different way. But our portfolio, funded portfolio, is now 200 to 225 odd startups. But very importantly, the philosophy that we went with is to bet on deep science ideas. And over 8 years now, the gestation over is coming to play. I'm very happy to say that some of those bets are looking something very exciting now, something that can be at a global scale breakthroughs that we can talk about. I'll not take much of the time, but give you a flavor of it without going into details again. The organizations like Bugworks, which are attempting to address the global health issue of antimicrobial resistance, while we are talking about the current issue of COVID and related mortality or deaths as we talk about, antimicrobial resistance, the infections, which in other words, infections which do not have antibiotics to treat with as the bacteria are constantly evolving, is projected to cause around 10 million lives a year. And India is projected to contribute 20 to 25% of it. That is 2.5 million deaths per year. That is small countries in Europe somewhere wiped out every year. And what we are trying to talk about is that how we can lower down that. And for that, we need antibiotics to, treat those infections. So Bugworks is one of the top global companies right now, but Bug started with CCAM. Right now it's top 5 in the world to have molecules which are ready to go over last 6 years of work, now ready to go in clinical trials and working phenomenally well in the lab, in the in vitro, in animal testing and all that. They have done every work and now they are ready to go into that. So this is a breakthrough in waiting. If they do well through the clinical trials, it'll be a breakthrough for India, a eureka moment for all of us, that there'll be antibiotic, because last real good antibiotic was discovered novel in 1960s. So this is something we are waiting. We have something like Koyo Labs, which is right now answering the problems of COVID-19 with their devices, which can be a pre-ventilator mode CPAP devices, which we are already deploying in many hospitals as we speak, and we have got support to deploy more and more. Again, a phenomenal team of experts, 2 young, possibly late 30s, not late 20s, early 30s, one a design engineer, one a mechanical engineer, when they were doing the immersion in the hospital, realized that the neonates who largely get premature deliveries, their organs are not developed. And at that point of time, they require respiratory support, and they built a kind of a restructured CPAP device that they have now taken to the adult CPAP and the respiratory support that they have been able to provide through that. They have another device, which is FDA approved device, to reduce ventilator-associated pneumonia, which is, in brief, I will not go into details, it causes secondary infections, which leads to deaths in many ventilated patients. And as COVID patients go on ventilator, many a times, possibly, they're dying of secondary infection. They have a device which actually is now USFDA approved to prevent that, and that is also deployed now in India in many states. This is a true statement that Indian innovations can actually make a huge difference when you actually support them at the ground level and something that is clean, and it still can go, but it's a risk that you have to take with. These were healthcare related things. That we have something in agri, C6 Energy, which is using the algae, which is called as a seaweed, which grows in the sea and so on, to actually its implications in agriculture. And they have now a significant revenue-based model where a few components of the seaweed has implication in terms of the growth of plants like tomato, rice, up to 50% of increase compared to any other technology that exists. There are several others. I can keep on going. Theramit is developing, or Zumator rather, is developing biologics for immunotherapy for cancer, which is very important. I think the hottest area in terms of cancer treatment as we speak. We have another company, A10 Porous, which actually worked on a small molecule, and it has licensed to around $125 million full license deal for a rare disease called Niemann-Pick disease to a US company within 3 years of it starting and we supporting them the the starting day on a day zero. Module Innovations, another CCAM supported company based out of Pune, has been just funded by Carbex for nearly $3 million, largely to support their activity in terms of phenomenal work in urinary tract infection identification and the antibiotic susceptibility test that is going to be very important in terms of infections and infections treatment and precision thing. There is work in String Bio, one of the best company in synthetic biology, to convert what you would call it as the global warming gas, methane, which is going to cause global warming and other into something proteins which can be used to build non-human food for now. And they have won global competition as the best synthetic biology company for environment and been funded now as a pre-series A, and they are hoping they'll be possibly going to the next level as well. There are stem cell companies like iStem and Pandorum, which are doing really fantastic work towards building stem cell therapy for possibly iStem specifically for to begin with on vision disorders. Really exciting work at the best top-notch stem cell work where you could actually on issue of the inherited diseases which causes vision disorders, how can you treat them like retinitis pigmentosa and others? How can you treat them with the technology that can possibly is affordable and go to many people in India and beyond who cannot afford the projected technology, which would cost around $400,000 a shot for the treatment of the same thing. This is just a quick, I think I know that I may take up too much time, but give you a perspective that what you heard is a flavor of really exciting science, but has an impact and the growth of it has been really good. Some of them may still fail, but the fun has been to push those science, be a part of that scientific journey and go to the next level. This is a segmentation of the startups. I will not go into this, but happy to expand if somebody wants to discuss a particular domain further, both in healthcare and, as you can see, non-healthcare components that we have. Agri is definitely very important that we identified because the basic building blocks of the same is saying it's life science at the end of the day. So we have keen interest in issues or that impacts our countries very much, like maternal child health. We still have, in terms of the ranking and in terms of the numbers, we are still really doing very bad in terms of maternal child health, and we all know about it. So we are building many aspects to see if we can build maternal child health, like therapy for uterine fibroids, minimum invasive uterine fibroid treatment, fetal monitoring for the device for preventing stillbirths, so that you can have a thing, a diagnostic platform for neonatal sepsis, so that you can do something based on early saliva-based biomarkers, early device detection for a new technology-based jaundice detection, and so on. So there are many attempts being done, and we hope that many of those will actually come after the clinical study to market. Similar thing in agriculture. I'll not go further into it, but again, we do believe that we have a very strong focus in agriculture. We have a dedicated Center for Agricultural Innovation supported by the Karnataka government. And we do want to build further on it and ensure that the breakthrough innovations come. I already talked to you about the seaweed work. Something that we all would relate to is that many agri farmers and farmers or agri workers, farm workers, get chronic toxic effect of the pesticides they get exposed to on every day. The farmer is walking and doing the spray whole day, and his or her the entire body is kind of exposed to while plant is exposed once, his or her body is exposed multiple times, multiple days, leads to toxicity, which causes organ failures over time and deaths, as we know. So a nanotechnology solution to that has been built here, which was called as a best science of possibly 2019, if I'm not wrong, of India, which can be applied as a gel, as a nano particle, excuse me. And once the the spray, the pesticide sprays falls on it, it chemically breaks it so that it doesn't penetrate further down the skin. And this is really a good data we have, and we would like to, we are going ahead with taking it forward as well. There are many other components like that. Antimicrobial resistance, as I said, we have a lot of work that's happening in the AMR region. There are many capabilities like Biomonitor. Dr. Malpani possibly knows Biomonitor very well, which is doing fantastic work as a combination of physics and some level of chemistry to minimize the microbial load in a specific environment. Again, a fantastic team, and during these times, they have the most impact where you can put it somewhere and you can bring down the microbial or the pathogen load around us by 99.99% or something like that. Very interesting work, and they have done very good data, including at CCAM. They are at CCAM. So this is a larger impact that in general, normal innovation hub like CCAM would have. I'll not go into this, but it matters that we do a lot of deep dive bets so that some of the bets can come forward. But just wanted to say that at the same time, such ecosystem knowledge and as a platform, CCAM was able to build one of the two largest COVID diagnostics program, which both combined, which got supported by DBT and got later on as an index funded by Rockefeller Foundation to increase the capacity of COVID-19 diagnostics, which was a huge threat and continues to be a threat, to bring the capacity working with the MSMEs who are developing and manufacturing this COVID-19 diagnostics. We have got phenomenal success in that, making sure that more and more RT-PCR, as well as hopefully once it's approved, the paper strips and others can be, even saliva-based tests we are working on. So if they are approved, they can be available for all of us to do screening and regular testing and quick testing within 2 to 3 hours and not waiting for possibly 24 to 40 to 72 hours. Other important thing, possibly my semi-last slide, thing we did way back in March and April last year when we realized when the lockdown happened, when we are all hoping that India would not get even the first wave because of many reasons. We thought BCG and so on. We were hopeful, of course, but suddenly we realized that we are not immune to that, and it started. But at that time, we realized that a lot of our healthcare resources or tools were largely dependent on our collaborations or imports, and we didn't have much happening here. So we built this program called COVID-19 Innovation Deployment Accelerator. We call it CCDA, in collaboration with these phenomenal partners, and call upon innovators to say that if you have near market ready innovations, do reach out to us and we'll help you go to the next level. Just very quickly, the outcome of that, within a month, by April end, we had 1,100 innovations that we actually assessed and helped them slowly next 2-3 months. This involved ventilator supports, ventilator sterilization, diagnostics, you name it in COVID-19. We identified 30 to help as a priority, and 23 of them are in market. That's what I meant, that these were our backyard, garden, which possibly they were not ready. But when we didn't have any other supply, we looked at our own backyard, and we have now helped them to the next level. Their current challenge being scale up. So we are actually trying to see how we can help them scale up with funding, with regulatory support, or any other aspect that is required. And then, very importantly, to work with state health agencies for procurement, which is going to be another challenge. These are our 30 stars for impact as we identified, and we continue to work with them in the phase 2 of deployment of the CCDA and hoping that they would actually go to the next level as well. This CCDA story was named as the #1 story of 2020 in terms of model, how one can leverage innovation in times of crisis. And we continue to actually work on it while this helps us to get motivated to do more. Just to summarize, science entrepreneurship is very crucial, and India will need to build innovations based on long-term science for its own problems. And I think there are ways to do that in a way. I'll stop here with my coordinates. I possibly may have taken longer time than I was given, but you can reach out to us on our website, on email, or the Twitter handles written here. It has been a pleasure, and happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.